did with that tool that made it so special. What do you think of that?
Well, that's nothing new. We knew that Eddie wasn't the first person to tap. I mean, it's either been Ed saw Jimmy Page do it live, or there have been other artists who tap. Like, I think Steve Hackett from Genesis is one of them. So Ed never claimed to be the first person to tap. And there's lots of examples of people tapping before him.
Right.
So it's kind of like Henry Ford. Henry Ford did not invent the automobile, but he made it so available to everybody that his name became synonymous with the automobile, Ford, right?
Right.
I mean, Eddie's the same way with tapping. Did he invent tapping? No. Did he take it to a whole new other level that put it out there for people to notice as a thing? Yes. And that was Ed's contribution to tapping.
Right, right. So now moving on, we're talking about Billy Sheehan, who is giving us a little update about the new Talus album. So he spoke to the Music Matters podcast, and he says that they're just about finished with the new Talus record, that the record has versions of the Talus songs from the live set that they were doing back in 1985. It says all the songs we never really recorded in the studio. Some we did on the live Speed on Ice record, but they never recorded it for real in the studio. All those songs are all the songs from our live set that we never recorded. It's kind of like a snapshot of the way we left it back then. It's going to be released on Metal Blade Records. We don't have a date yet, but it's going to have drummer Mark Miller, and then, of course, lead singer Phil Narrow. Phil apparently is having a little bit of hard time with health. He completed his chemo treatments, radiation and laser therapy. He's getting a tumor removed from his neck, which is causing some muscular issue in his shoulder. And his vocal cords are still swollen. He's not out of the woods, but apparently he's doing well. So we shall see what happens with that.
We hope and pray for him that he gets better. I mean, really, we're truly very lucky and very blessed that he finished his vocals in time to do the album. And so, Phil, we wish you all the best. We're glad, your vocal cords weren't damaged through the whole treatment. Mm-hmm. We know you're going through a rough time now, so we're just hoping for a safe and speedy recovery for you. Having said all that, I cannot wait for that new Talus album.
It's going to be fantastic.
I mean, I am so stoked to hear that they are going old school, and I just can't. That version of the band was on fire, pardon the pun. Really, really good. And their new guitarist, whose name I can never say.
Oh, I know.
So I apologize. But he's really good. He fits the bill. And I think Billy Sheehan was threatening to get the original not the original guitarist from Talus, but the original version of the version 2 Talus guitarist to be on the album, and maybe even his replacement. So, as you can tell, Dave and I are really geeking out over this, and we can't wait to hear it. Most people are going to be like, whatever. But there's not much other new music coming out that we can get excited about these days. So, Dave and I await with bated breath for this. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Well, we have some really good albums coming out next year. So we have this Talus album. We have the Wolfgang album. We have the Dave album. We have an Extreme album. And we have apparently this new Sammy album. So there is stuff coming down the pike within the Van Halen sphere, I should call it. But there's definitely stuff out there. So we shall see what happens in 2021. And unfortunately, we end Van Halen news on a sad note. So this is really sad, and I feel horrible about this. Janie Van Halen, Eddie's widow, she made a couple of tweets. So this poor girl, in addition to losing her brother, in addition to losing Ed, just lost her mom. I mean, this poor, all in 1 year for this girl. It's just unbelievable. So
that's a lot.
So
that's
now
a lot for anybody.
This is unbelievable. So her mother is passed, her father is passed, her brother is passed, and Ed, of course. So she says, this is something she tweeted, I'm absolutely devastated, and I just don't know how much more I can take. And then she tweeted, sometimes the person perceived as the strongest is actually the weakest, broken and lost, but finally starting therapy today for some emotional support and help that I need. I feel so horrible for this girl. God knows what she's going through. I mean, it's just horrible. Our love and prayers go out to Janie, and so sorry for that. That is just so awful. Awful.
We hope you find the strength to pull through. What a terrible and challenging year for her.
Oh my God. Just it's unreal. It's unreal. That wraps up Van Halen news.
And that's the way it is. Good night.
And we are on to a power-packed episode, Dave. Oh my God. So we have an interview with author Martin Popoff. Oh my God, did we get into a deep dive discussion with Martin. Martin is one of our past guests who is returning. He's a fantastic guest. He is putting out a new book called Van Halen, a Visual Biography. And boy, is this some piece of work. This is a coffee table Van Halen book that is unbelievable, filled with over 400 photos. Van Halen, a visual biography. And it's all full color and high quality. We get into the depths on that. We get into all kinds of Van Halen talk with Martin. Martin also has his own podcast as well. And we have an interview with another author, Bud Hathaway. What about the fans? And Bud talks about all the behind-the-scenes goings-on, going backstage with Van Halen back in the day. This is a memoir he wrote about his time when he was going backstage with Van Halen on all the tours back in the old times, in the 80s. And this has got some interesting stuff in there. So lots to talk about, Dave, but before we do all that, we have something special for Dave. Well, Dave's used to nice, short things. That's what he's like. That's what he's used to. And he's going to get...
All right. Move on.
He's going to get a short mailbag for Christmas, and there's a little prize nestled nicely in the middle of that mailbag for Dave that he's going to really enjoy and bring out his Hanukkah Harry, I should say.
I can't wait to open that gift in front of you especially.
Let me tell you, it is a whopper. Oh my God, Dave is winning the lottery this year, so that is all coming up next. Take a listen.
And it is that conflict, it is that collision, that sound. Here's that Japanese shit again. In sumo, that's called tachiai. When they collide, boom! You can hear that all the way across the arena. And that's the sound of Van Halen, is that there is a mutual push-pull like you found on all the most colorful football teams and baseball teams, you know.
Hello, loyal listeners. Wanted to let you know about our new Patreon. If you like what we do and you have the means, drop us a donation to keep the podcast going. Go to patreon.com/DD Unchained. That's patreon.com/DDUNCHAINED. Doesn't have to be huge. Any side's contributions are greatly appreciated. Those who contribute $40 or more will get the Unchained package. Trust me, it's worth it. Contribute $65 or more and get the Romeo Delight package, which is Unchained plus more. And $95 scores you the Top Jimmy package, which is the kitchen sink. If you're a Van Halen hardcore and listen to this cast, this is stuff you'll appreciate. It's ear candy. Go to patreon.com/DD Unchained. Email your contact information to ddunchainedpodcast@gmail.com. What is understood need not be discussed.
If you need a dose of VH, get a taste of the closest thing. Romeo Delight, the ultimate Van Halen tribute band, playing all the hits from the David Lee Roth era, first classic 6 albums, plus deep cuts, some of which have never been played live before by the band. They even throw in popular tracks from the Sammy Hagar era and solo hits. The most viewed Van Halen tribute band on YouTube. Romeo Delight, doing customized recreations of staging, instruments, and costumes from the classic Van Halen era. They even perform entire Van Halen albums in sequence. Romeo Delight plays theaters, casinos, summer indoor and outdoor festivals, and special events. They're also available for private parties. To contact them, call Bud Blanche at 215-704-5144. That's 215-704-5144. Or via email at sonicparade1@yahoo.com. Romeo Delight, the ultimate Van Halen tribute band.
Hey everybody, this is Sass Jordan, and you are listening to Dave and Dave Unchained.
Author Greg Renoff is back with a new book, Ted Templeman, A Platinum Producer's Life and Music. The new biography of the record producer Ted Templeman, who went on to produce Van Halen, the Doobie Brothers, Van Morrison, Aerosmith, Sammy Hagar, and more. The book, which runs $19.95, and it's currently available at Amazon.com. From the man who brought you Van Halen Rising comes Ted Templeman, A Platinum Producer's Life and Music, written by Templeman as told to Greg Renoff. Available for only $19.95 at Amazon.com. Order it today.
I did not quit the band. I was forced out of the band because I wasn't going along with anything that they wanted to do. Like just got into a bad band situation, It really wasn't drugs and alcohol that broke the band up. Absolutely not. It was bad management.
All right, Dave, you know what time it is.
Well, my buddy Dave, he don't want me around. He says he's tired of watching me let him down. He just wants a good mailbag. He wants only the best. But he hates disappointment better than all the rest. And he says that he thinks that I'm headed for a whole lot of trouble. Well, he thinks that I'm headed for a whole lot of trouble. Well, he thinks that I'm headed for a whole lot of trouble if I don't nail the mailbag intro.
That's right, it's mailbag time again. And oh, Dave, your Christmas wishes are coming true because we have the small mailbag edition this time out. We'll get right to it because Dave is lying in bed with his cup of tea and his nightcap on, so he's almost about to hit that pillow.
No tea, otherwise I'll be up all night.
Okay, that's right. Well, letter number 1 comes from Montana Dan Shapiro, and he says, "Hey guys, love the podcast. We'll try to be brief as I know the mailbag gets longer with each episode. First, I am tired of the Sammy era getting bashed so often. I think the primary difference as far as quality goes between Dave and Sam era is there's more mediocre material on the Sammy albums, but the highs are just as high as the Dave era. The Dave era might have 5 subpar songs, but the Sammy era has 15 to 20. With that in mind, here's my track listing for a best of Van Hagar CD. Doin' Time / Balukatherium, 5150, Judgment Day, Feelin', Right Now, Dreams, Don't Tell Me, 316, Crossing Over, The Dream Is Over, One Way to Rock, Won't Get Fooled Again, Why Can't This Be Love, Aftershock, and Get Up. Montana Dan Shapiro. P.S. I didn't necessarily mean you guys bashing Sammy. I meant every time I hear a 50 best Van Halen songs or whatever, there's almost no Sammy. And even Eddie was dismissive in his last few years. Well, Dan, I have my own best of for you. How do you like that? I'm going to give it to you right now. Get Up, Summer Nights, 5150, Best of Both Worlds, Mine All Mine, Black and Blue, Cabo Wabo, AFU, The Dream Is Over, Pound Cake, Right Now, Judgment Day, Seven Seal, Don't Tell Me, Crossing Over, Humans Being, Balukatherium, and It's the Right Time. What do you say, Dave?
It's the right time? Wait a minute, do you mean it's about time?
I'm sorry, you got me so screwed up. It's about time. It's about time. We've got that so screwed. Hey, let me tell you something. That one's called It's About Time. The other one, It's the Right Time. And then the Gary version. That's Why I Love You, or whatever the fuck is called.
Right.
Oh, my God.
I like your list. I didn't make my own list, but I do agree with you. No offense, Montana Dan Shapiro. Most of your songs are right on the money. I liked your Won't